What's going on, everyone? Sid Gordon here with the Sid Gordon podcast, powered by Core Medical. And today, I have a really good friend here. As you guys know, I have a saying in life: I only surround myself with people I love and people I do business with. And this gentleman has meshed between the two, and those are real good friends. And JJ, thanks for coming on, dude.
Oh man, thanks for having me.
Appreciate you, dude. And just so everyone gets an idea, I know you guys can't see his face, but JJ and I met, and within 2 weeks of us meeting, he cleared his schedule and ended up coming to our event in South Carolina with his entire crew. And it was like amazing because, he's surrounded himself with a bunch of real leaders. He's the man in charge, but he's got some really amazing guys, and I'm blessed to be able to have them in my circle. And if shit went bad, my family's blessed to have you in my circle too. So
absolutely.
Thank you, brother. So man, we always start this thing off kind of like where you're from, how you came up, and just a small background.
Yeah, man. I'm born and raised South Florida. Never really bounced around except for the Army. Enlisted when I was 24, so I didn't go right out of high school. Did one enlistment, and the private sector seemed to be a little more suited for me. Mom and dad, great, come from a divorced family. I'm married now. I have a 14-year-old stepson. I have a 16-year-old daughter. Everybody's great. Everybody's happy. Everybody's good, man. They're very much supportive in everything I do, from executive protection to anti-human trafficking, and the ability to leave the world better than how we found it. We've done a lot of really cool things over the years. Mm-hmm. When I got out of the Army, we went into private contracting, and we've done some really, really cool celebrities, music artists, but our bread and butter has been high-end political protection.
So explain to the audience. So you have multiple branches of the military, and then I'd say probably Blackwater set off like the biggest picture of like contract work, right? We both know Dirty, mm-hmm. right? Which is crazy. Fantastic. So you show up at the event, and like one of my dearest friends is, one of the most amazing dudes ever. My daughter was almost kidnapped about 2 years ago, and Mel calls Dirty like right away, and Dirty's like, dude, where are you? What's going on? Like, and I've met this point, I've only known him for like a year and a half, and he's like, listen, like, like set the tone for my household, and was just like all over that shit. And multiple people too, like I'm surrounded by greatness, thank God, and for a situation like that, because it was hard. My wife was a mess, walk around the house with a firearm, like just freaked the fuck out, and it was difficult. But why other than the financial side of things is the private sector of being kind of not in the military and going into that direction so attractive to so many operators?
The black and white version of it is you get to do all the cool guy shit without all the bullshit.
Okay.
and I don't know if anybody's ever been a E5 or less in the military, but your paycheck's not very fat. Mm-hmm. But outside of that, man, we get to do essentially all the stuff that people wait around all year. These SWAT teams, these police departments, these private entities or public entities, they sit around and maybe get to do once a year what we get to do every week. Uh-huh. So that's definitely the attraction to it. We get to run and gun, we get to protections, extractions, everything that is encumbered into.
How would you compare the training between the two? So when you're training with a private sector group versus the Army, even infantry, I know that you understand the military in depth. How do you compare that training? Like, is it night and day?
So when you're talking about going from war to domestic extractions, right? When you're overseas, you can't necessarily. Well, you can, there's rules of engagement, but it's a little looser than it would be stateside, right? Mm-hmm. I can't, I got 10 kids locked into a house in West Palm Beach, Florida. I can't frag it and breach, right? Mm-hmm. It's things are a little bit different. So, you have to, there's a lot more intelligence gathering as far as what's coming in, what's going out versus fuck it, we'll find out.
Yeah, yeah,
We'll
yeah.
find out when we get in there.
Yeah, find out when we get in there. Yeah, got you.
Yeah, that's definitely how a lot of the training is different. It's a little bit more
So,
controlled, trying to do stuff here.
so I got to go to the Blackwater event in Sturgis like 3 years ago, and I walked in and we were the sponsor at the event, and as soon as I walked in the door, I was like, man, because I've been around a lot of military guys, right? And I think the beauty of that community is it doesn't matter what branch you're in. Like everyone is just like, so I've never been around so many dudes that were just like badass motherfuckers that just like would love the shit out of you, right?
Bunch of non-judgmental men, man. That's a bunch of dudes that are comfortable in their own skin because there's no judgment, man. We all just want to
Help.
be with each other.
Yeah. And, I made lifelong friends from that event. And, Peanut, I don't know if you know Peanut, that's Dirty's like a really good buddy. He's been with them for like a long time. He's like 5'2", 170, and evidently was one of the baddest motherfuckers in the room. I was like, wow, that's pretty interesting, because
Better than Dirty? Man, Dirty
I don't know.
Me and Dirty were chasing down savages on a tribal reservation.
I know you
upstate New York,
told me
man.
about that. That's crazy.
He's a maniac.
Yeah, he is. And the beautiful thing about that dude is that like if you deserve it, you're getting it. Like, and if you don't deserve it, you're getting a hall pass. Yeah. He just has that really perfect demeanor. So I'm going to give a background real quick. I worked with one of the largest child trafficking organizations probably in the country that is no longer that attractive any longer. I was a huge donor. Went through some crazy stuff to the point to where like another donor like myself that I knew pretty well, and he decides to go to Haiti to adopt 2 kids from this orphanage after the disaster that they had there. And I guess the gangs were they'd paint like orphanage on the side of a building, and people just drop their fucking kids off, and then the kids are trafficked, right? And then this guy catches wind. He's like a really good dude, donates millions of dollars to that sector, and ends up going over there on like a missionary work, and walks in, and 2 guys follow him in, off both the kids right in front of him, and take him hostage. Mm-hmm. So the organization that I was with at the time sends like 5 dudes down from Oregon, and 3 of them were good buddies of mine, stayed at my house, and I actually got to witness like this negotiation, right? So they have guys on the ground in Haiti that are Haitian, corrupt police officers that are working with them. At the time, as it is now, you were seeing videos of dudes being put inside tires, being lit on fire in the streets, no clean water. It was horrible. And I actually sat in my living room, and people might think I'm sick, but my daughter, who's 17 years old, who you'll meet tomorrow, I made her witness a lot of this just because I want to educate my kids, right? I enter the friend zone with my kids. I want them to understand that there's fucking bad people out there, and there's also good people to take care of those bad people. And, we sat there and we listened to this guy get tased and beat over the phone, on WhatsApp, on Signal. It was just horrible. He tried to escape. They freaking mangled him, and ended up paying a very small ransom. For those of you that don't know, JJ can tell you, if you get captured in a foreign company, they're not paying $1 million to get you out, because then everyone else is going to pay $1 million too, right? So there's a negotiation tactic that you could probably get into better than me. So they end up getting the guy out for like $5,000, like, but he was there for like a month and a half. And the guy's, he'll never be the same, right? So during that period of time, my daughter almost gets abducted at a Home Depot in Delray. And the next week, I don't know if I ever told you this, but the next week, my chief of medicine son decides he's going to go to Cancun and sleep with a low-level cartel guy's girlfriend. And they hit him with a bat and at the airport, throw him in a trunk, take him to someplace off the girl in front of him, and then they try to have his way with him, stab him in the abdomen. It was a bad, bad day. The thing is that, and I'm going to let you run from here, how naive and how sheltered are the majority of the United States to this epidemic?
It's the easy thing to do, man. It's the easy thing to do to look the other way. The same thing happened to my daughter up in Stuart, Florida. It actually happened when I was up in New York with Dirty. I got a phone call from my daughter. She was walking down US 1, walked to, I think, Tropical Smoothie or McDonald's with a couple of little girlfriends. She was maybe 14 at the time, and a guy with a work van pulled off onto the sidewalk, blocking the sidewalk, hopped out, approached them. Luckily, my daughter grew up with me.
Yeah.
And she had the wherewithal to pull out her phone, take a picture of his license plate, take a picture of him, and then they took off. And they ran into the woods that led to a daycare that, teachers and stuff like that, so they were able to get away.
Small things like that kids just don't know to do. It's a major deterrent. It's like, boom, I got your plate.
Adults don't know how to do that stuff.
Yeah.
It's the naiveness and the lack of situational awareness within the United States, man. We got it too good, man. We got it way too good, and then when bad things happen, everybody lose their mind.
When bad things happen, it's too late. That's my saying. It's like, dude, it's like I don't understand. Like, I see my daughter goes to a great school here, and there's one way in, there's one way out. There's a weirdly enough FWC police officer at the front there on detail every day, but there's a SWAT officer that I know well that clears the school in the morning and clears it at the end of the day every single morning. And they have another detail at the school. And when you see stuff like that as an adult, what triggers to me is like, fuck, man, like if they're worried about this shit, like maybe I should be too, right? Because they're not paying probably how much would that cost them a year, JJ? I mean, to have all that support there at that school, it's got to be a couple $100,000, right?
Well, luckily, I think that the states started to step in to fund some of, having some officers.
For a private school.
Is it private?
Yeah, private. I mean, it's got to be. I mean, to have you sit there for an entire year, it'd be a couple $100,000.
Yeah. You're talking probably $250,000 per person to have them there.
So if the school has that concern, and we're walking around the streets of Boca Raton with like no fucks given, like that's an issue. I mean, I feel like, and we'll get into this in a second, but I feel like a part of your journey and what's going to be so effective is the fact that you're not just going along this journey. Fixing things. You guys are also educators, right? Like I really feel like Nicole has this grasp on this organization to like make it well known. Like this is a major issue. And she's so passionate about it. Like, I mean, she's just amazing, like amazing, and also vulnerable on the topic too. I mean, she's been through it, and which like breaks my heart. But at the same time, it's her story, right? And she probably wouldn't. I mean, in my situation, I've done some horrible things in my life, and I wouldn't take them back.
Change it. Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about what you've done in security, kind of, if you can, who you've kind of protected, and then kind of where we're going to get to some really exciting stuff, guys. So stand by. But JJ is going to be in a position of one of the most unique, probably historical situations in this industry, probably in the United States. So I'll let him chat a little bit to give you some qualification of the type of stuff that he's done.
Amen. So for the last, I'd say 5-6 years, we've run really heavy, running protection teams for Trump, and then running the security for Governor DeSantis for the last few years. We've put together some pretty elite teams, and we've been together for a really long time, man. And January, when the presidential campaign came to a close for Governor DeSantis, we all kind of sat down, man, and we've done our part, right? We feel good about the private sector stuff that we've done, but it's not enough. It's just not enough, man. And we have such special skill sets and capabilities. And nobody's doing shit, man. Nobody's doing shit anymore. And there's not enough people with these capabilities and skill sets that are doing anything, man. And I feel guilty. We talked about the financial aspect of the private sector, man. And I've actually taken a lot of my own financial money to dump into nonprofit marketing, back to the cause, getting guys started.
Because in a second you can get on a plane and go make fucking $10,000 a week overseas.
All day. And it's just like I said earlier, man. It's leaving the world a better place than we found it. And I had no idea that so many of my own guys, my own savage serial killer, guys that have been overseas for 10 plus years, man, just doing God's work, and that they had been touched by this themselves as children also.
Yeah.
And they're having a conversation with them, big bearded tattooed men that, just scarred up, dirty, and they have this history, this past. But with that comes this passion, this passion to help these children, man. And I don't know if you remember your feelings of disappointment or expectations not being met when you were a kid, man. But I can't possibly imagine being stuck in a room without being able to call my mom and dad.
Yeah. No, I mean, we both have daughters, dude. And like, for me, if everyone takes a second here and that is watching this, that either wants to have kids or has kids, and you lose 100% communication with that person, and that person is under the demand of another human, right? And they can do nothing, and you're the father or the mother. I mean, maybe you get that child back, 3 to 5%.
But what's that integration process look like?
That's where I'm going.
It'll never be the same.
It's never the same. And I talk a lot about substance abuse, right, on this podcast. And when a man is in addiction, they rob people, they'll steal. When a woman is in addiction, they do the alternative, the real easy process, and that's makes the healing process real hard. And that's even because they're like, even like, all right, I need this drug, here's my body. But when someone is not in that position and not addicted to drugs, and that's taken from them, the long-term effect of that is just tremendous. And the fact that we're so numb to it, and the fact that we're so numb to it, like right here, like there's situations going on within 10 miles of where we're sitting right now, and what's happening.
I can tell you within 1 mile, there's something happening.
Really? So what's the why is it stagnant? Why isn't something happening?
I don't know if we can talk about this, but the political background to everything that's going on right now, there's always ulterior motives. With this open border crisis, with everything that's going on, I don't know what it is, but something's going on. Whether it's the grooming, and I've never seen anything like it.
So you have like the Epstein, you have the P. Diddy, you have, and which is like amazing to me, right? Like, it's just mind blowing to me. And then I know a lot of people in that world, from core, and like I've hung with them before and be like, dude, this is the most dirty shit you've ever seen in your life. And I didn't believe it, right? Because you don't really want to believe it, right? And then you see all this shit happening, and you're like how does it continue? Like what is the determining factor to not end that? Like why does that happen?
Well, you said it yourself. We were talking about Haiti and stuff. You get these disasters that happen. It'd be a hurricane, earthquake, whatever. And that is the prime opportunity for shit to go down. And they
natural disasters.
They take advantage of hard times. You know what I'm saying? And you can talk about hard times, from disasters to trailer parks being poor, to these villages in South America that are simply villages to have babies simply for anti-human trafficking, or for human trafficking, sex trafficking. And it's just, that's where it develops, and it's so easy to take advantage of. You take somebody like Bruce Springsteen's daughter, right, who's well known, that's, she's all over the place. Mm-hmm. People are going to notice she's gone. Mm-hmm. You take little Lucy, from some nowhere town in nowhere,
which is wild too, because when my wife, who's, I shout out to her because she's a G, and she does carry a gun, and she had 4 dudes come up to her, and she knew not to pull her weapon because there was no way she was going to win a gunfight within 5 feet with 5 guys and get away with her kid. Her goal was to get away, right? Don't be a fucking hero unless you are a hero. Get away, run, right? And that's like my advice that I've learned. Like
9 times out of 10, man, I get into some sticky shit, man, and I'm out with my family or even by myself, and I'm here in my hometown. I'm walking the fuck away, man. I'm not here to
exactly. And then there's right immediately after that shit that happened at the Home Depot, JJ, there was 4 other children from Lantana to Pompano taken, and there hasn't been kidnappings aggressively in Palm Beach, Broward County until that stage. And then 4 kids were gone. 1 was recovered, the other 3 still not recovered, and within a 2-week period of time. And when I was speaking to a mutual friend of ours talking about like, man, this is crazy. You know, after my kid got taken, he's like, just watch. There'll be kids gone the next 2 or 3 weeks. And sure enough, dude, they have a mission, and that mission is to take children. And with everybody knowing this situation, why, and nothing for nothing, I know you'll be effective, but like your group is like, why is it so like brushed under the carpet in the United States, but yet we'll go spend money to go overseas?
So that's where it stands right now, right? So right now, OCONUS missions, anti-human trafficking missions are possibilities. You know, you have state directors that manage and maintain different relationships with different states within different countries that we can go and operate in. Right?
Okay.
What we're trying to do is create that standard and be able to take that blueprint and make it better.
Okay.
And then create that gold standard so we can conduct the OCONUS missions here, starting in the state of Florida, starting in, you know, South Florida, where it's most prevalent. You know, I think we're number 3 in the country as far as, you know, human trafficking goes. So I think we're
a peninsula, dude. It's easy to get away.
Yeah, you know, easy to get in, easy in, easy out. You know, it's, and I think that we should have more private sector stuff doing that too. You know, border security, running boats, have maritime units, you know, dogs, everything.
Do you think that, so I know white Americans over the age of 30 years old to 70 are the biggest offender for sex trafficking, right? Majority of them are American men, right? And they'll go to a different country and they'll go do horrible fucking things and come back here. Do you think that we are focusing too much on the like outside the borders of the United States and not solving the problem internally? Because I don't really see any major demand on, like, just like our borders are wide open, there's like really nobody here that's really driving the nail home. Like, if you leave this country and come back and do something like that, you're in deep shit. Or like what organizations right now are protecting kids that are kidnapped and taken away? Like, your kid gets taken, you call the police, they call HSI, and like, what now? Like, it's and half the time, oh, have they been missing for 24 hours? It's like,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, are you kidding me?
Yeah,
are you kidding me?
Like,
my 7-year-old daughter is missing. Has she been gone for 24 hours? No, get the fuck over here.
Yeah, exactly.
You know
but like, where is the disconnect, JJ? Like, where is the disconnect? Because from that disconnect, I want to lead into like why you're doing what you're doing.
Well, I think that there's definitely a thumb down somewhere. You know, that's kind of slow in the process. But I mean, it's an absolute epidemic right now. You know, and it goes so much to further in so many different conversations that we could have. That, you know, just where we are as Americans in this time. You know, that, you know, first world problems. You know what I'm saying? And that happens to come along with the population size and the lack of problems that we have now created, right? And one of those being sexualization.
So I'm pretty familiar with having some of the patients that I have at CORE that have filled me in on, like, there's a reason why fentanyl is pouring into this country. There's a reason why drugs are pouring into this country, because there's people that are supposedly good people making a lot of fucking money from it, right? Yeah. Do you feel like sex trafficking is kind of in the same arena?
100%, man. Like, you're talking about Diddy and Epstein and all that. It all goes somewhere, you know? And so I think that there's definitely deeper alternatives going on here that are slowing us down.
And for those of you guys out there that don't know, and I'm not an expert in this field at all whatsoever, but it's worth the research. a child that is sex trafficked is worth a lot more than 10 kilos of fentanyl.
Or you can only sell fentanyl once, man.
Exactly.
You know, the kid, you turn 10, 15, 20 Johns a day.
Yeah.
It's just, it's absolutely.
And
ridiculous.
then, you know, I was, I can say his name, Omar. He's a former SEAL, works deeply in this industry as well. And he was telling me about the organ farming, like how the organ farming goes. And it's like, there's legitimately like general practitioners out there working with these cartels that are like matching people up like all over the fucking world and like stealing children, twilighting them, and taking their organs out of their body while they're still alive to do transplants. Like, that's happening here.
I just saw a bunch of kids being shoved into a mine the other day. You know, I was scrolling around, and you know, it was somewhere in Africa. You know, I think maybe Congo or something, and they're just herding these children and auctioning them off to go work these gold mines. You know, and it's I think it's what, 29 billion slaves right now worldwide.
Really?
You're talking 50,000 just in the United States a year. So just in the last 5 years, we've acquired 250,000, you know, child traffic victims just in the United States.
So that's actually an amazing way to think about it. So,
and we prosecute maybe 3%. Maybe.
In the U.S.
Right.
Well, the crazy part for me is, you know, when Omar, I think it's been fixed since then. We'll just leave it there. But Omar said, you know, you'd go overseas, get these guys, lock them up, and then by the time you're getting on your flight, they're walking out of jail again. It's just like clockwork. And, you know, it's just like, damn, man, you know, how does the loop like close? I mean, it's again, just like you said, I guess I just am so far from the belief of like another man or a woman being organized in this type of industry of disgust.
Well, you see, it takes one fucked up guy, right, to take a traffickee to turn a traffickee into a trafficker. You know what I'm saying? You elevate them through a chain of command from you know, being a toddler going through what it has to go through to gaining this hierarchy within the trafficking system, that the traffickee becomes the trafficker. They're still a victim, however, they're now doing it to others. You know, and you have the same thing that goes on with these children that are molested, that turn up, grow up, and then that becomes their thing. You know, and it just becomes a evolution of disgust and evil.
So, I mean, I have been aligned with 2 different organizations in this arena. One of them, you know, I don't really care to discuss anymore. The other, Seth, you know, fucking solid dude, bro. Love that guy. I think he's got great mental direction of like, he's really here for a purpose, right? And I there's also people that are in this industry that are in this type of protection that are also in this type of protection for the wrong fucking reasons. And if you're interested in donating to one of these organizations, DM me before you do it, because I know the ones that are up to no good. I've spent a lot of time trying to figure that out. The reason why JJ is sitting here is because Core and myself are backing him and his organization and we're posturing and trying to be involved as much as humanly possible because this isn't going to get better over time.
No, man. And we talked about education a little bit earlier, man. And that's one of the things we want to do once we create this standard, to take the OCONUS blueprint, pretty it up, make it better, revise it, and implement it in the United States, is create an educational system, academy, some type of something from start to finish, you know, full integration of, you know, investigations, intelligence gathering, raid recovery, and then
Aftercare.
Yeah, and then aftercare.
So
you know, and
talk to us a little bit about the process here right now. So I want to talk about the process of start to finish, what it takes, and how much time, money, and sacrifices involved in like one little operation. Because I want the listeners to understand, this isn't like, oh, little Johnny's next door getting raped by dad. All right, send JJ in to go get the kid. It's not like that. No. The process, and it should be, right? But
it would be nice. It would be nice.
It'd be so nice,
Yeah.
right? We'd be sitting here right now. You'd be out doing shit.
Right.
But Talk to us a little bit about the process, what that process does look like, because my goal in this podcast and more down the line with you and your staff is to do like a quarterly educational progress report of like what is going on and how you're being effective. So start right now just to explain to everybody, like, what does it look like when you get intel?
So there's essentially three different aspects of the anti-human trafficking recovery. So you have your intelligence and investigations aspect, right? So somebody calls a hotline, tip line, whatever happens, you start. That's where it starts, right? Hey, this house may have 5-6 kids in it. We see a lot of traffic going in and out, or hey, there's a Jack Shack in Lantana that is circulating a lot of people and doing all this stuff. We see children in there, blah blah blah. And then obviously you want to know. You'll take the PIs and you put them sit out front and have them run a schedule. 24-hour surveillance, what's coming in, what's going out, at what times, weapons, children, hostages, how many people are there that are military fighting age, that are going to be a problem for us. And then once we get all that together, then we can.
Which is a real thing, because these organizations are not a bunch of pussies.
Right.
Like there's real.
And then then the handoff happens. Then it goes to people like us that do the raid and recovery. So to be good at one thing, you can't do everything, right? So we decided to focus. We have a lot of nonprofits that are geared 100% towards intelligence and investigations. A lot of top-notch private investigators that do exactly what we need and get us all the information. And then it skips over to the raid and recovery. Once we gather all that, we can prep missions. Are we taking dogs? Do I need a med kit for a dog? Or how many children are there? How close is a safe house where we can provide medical attention? So then we'll go in.
But there's no real fucking way to plan for this, because you never know what's behind those doors
Right.
in depth. I mean, unless someone does go in there, but there could still be some kid, as violent as this sound, ripped fucking ass to taint, like bleeding in the back of a room, and they're waiting for the doctor to come stitch him up so that they can go after him.
So we got guys like Drew that help us with understanding how to patch up an infant. You know what I'm saying? Or if my dog gets shot, how can I triage him to make sure he's good? But we want to get these kids, these women, these men to safe houses, get direct medical attention, and then comes into the third leg, which is
the hardest
aftercare.
part.
Right.
The hardest part.
And the most valuable part, and when it comes to the vetting process of who's taking care of these people and how are we not going to damage them worse,
or how they're not going to go back into circulation. Because,
exactly.
I have a very close friend that's adopted four kids that have been trafficked. And I'm gonna try to hold it together here, dude. But I came over to his home one time and I sat down. I came over to the house one time and sat down. And this girl at like 7 years old came and like didn't know any better. Fucking sat on my lap immediately and like just looked at me. And I was like, and he's like, hey, you need to get up. We've talked about this, and what was going on with that kid's head was another man that I didn't know came into the room and I need to please him. And the kid's 7 years old. And I was like, dude, I couldn't even, I couldn't even face it. And then you're just like, what the fuck do you do there? Because immediately my brain goes to my kids, dude. You know what I mean? Like that's the reason why I've been so amazing and I've been so blessed in business is that when I'm negotiating or entering into a new relationship with someone in business, I put myself in that person's position to what their concerns are, what we need to overcome, and how we can move forward. When I see something happen to kids, immediately I think of my children, right? Because I'm selfish, especially my kids. And just, that guy spends the majority of his day trying to make sure that this girl feels safe and loved and doesn't have to feel like when a stranger walks in the room, she didn't even shake my hand. She didn't say hello to me. She just came sat on my lap. And I was like, that's fucking weird, but like, whatever, like, and I'm not thinking anything of it. And then I'm like, oh shit, we both know women that have overcome this, but the majority of women, even though they're not forced to, end up going back into the industry one way or another. Accurate or?
Yeah, 100%. And there's some really cool programs and nonprofits. I know a couple of them up in North Florida that we partnered with that are, they have a really cool integration process, man. It's a heavy psychiatric help, medical, and outside of that, man, it's just rebuilding that confidence, and they have a lot of work opportunities for these people to, stuffing pillows or bagging coffee, something that's not going to stress them out too bad, but it's helping to build that confidence, get them back in that 9 to 5,
Yeah,
making
yeah.
their own money, paying their own bills, and not being subject to be a leech off of somebody anymore.
So Elise yesterday that was here, who was amazing, big shout out there, gave me this analogy, dude. That was like so cool. Christian, if I'm off, remind me what she said. Imagine being inside of a bubble with a zipper, right? And when you're coming up in you're 16, 17, 18 years old, you have the ability to zip that down and let somebody in. And that's your decision whether or not you want to have an intimate, time with them. If you want to be friends with them, you're in charge of that zipper. It's inside that bubble. When you're trafficked, the zipper's on the outside. And guess what? Anyone that wants to come in just gets to come in, and you have no control over it. And like that stuck so hard to me yesterday. I was like, God, like I can't imagine. I listen to my business partner. I listen to my close friends because, I now have surrounded myself with people that call me out in life. And I listen to my wife most of the time. But to have a stranger come take me and tell me what I'm going to do and what not do is just not in the fucking cards, dude. It's just not fucking happening. And I can't imagine the lack of self-esteem that would pattern in my life. Like if I was told what to do, that's why I'm unemployable, right? Because I can't work for somebody. It's like, but it's really, just think about that. Like I don't even have the ability to go work for somebody, let alone tell them what to do with my body, right? So I really, really feel like this mission that you're on and you're doing it stateside is just like groundbreaking, dude. Like, and and you've been awesome to let me like kind of be involved from like, the outside looking in and suggestion wise on like the business side of things. But what does that look like? What does it look like if the state of Florida was like, JJ, just go get after it. Like, go start fixing these issues. What would you need for that to happen? Because, a portion of this is going to go towards, our foundation. We're going to try to drive as much awareness as we can. And then when we have our appreciation weekend, you guys will be, one of the people that we donate to this year coming up because I'm passionate about it. What does that look like? Just so the people out there understand how in depth and what is needed. Like, just like I know you said like the dog to have like the med kits, but just like the training alone.
Yeah, I mean, building out and publishing the training standard is one. We've been working with Colton, and he's an absolute miracle blessing that has come upon us. Same with you, and none of this would be possible without either of you. And
like
there's definitely no room for error. If we were to hop on it right now, man, it's we would still maintain our relationships with local PDs, right? We need to manipulate that chain of custody as to, obviously I don't want to work on stuff that they're working on and vice versa. We don't want to step on each other's toes. And it's a lot of helping each other, man. It's having a close relationship with, all the local PDs from, Orlando to Miami on the East Coast right now is huge in the progress and development of what we're trying to do. But if they give us the green light, man, it's, obviously hotlines, run it. Let's get these guys out here right now. And, we want to do it as quickly and as safely as possible without any collateral damage, obviously, but that's where the training comes into play.
So right now, just so people understand, there's no organization right now that can do rate and recovery, right? There's no one doing that. And because of your reputation with the higher ups in the state, I'm pretty sure you'll probably be the pioneer. Yeah. And what the scary part for me is once you master this, like executive protection, then you have every Tom, Dick, and Harry who thinks that they can protect people try to get into this. What are your thoughts on that? Like, I mean, are you gonna go so hard to where there's a standard that's like almost impossible to reach?
It's gonna have to be that way, because if you see the standard in the EP world, or just the lower spectrum of the protector nation, right, is startling, to say the least.
Yeah, because I see like you, I see like Byron, I see even some guys that are with Anton that I'm pretty close with, and then I see like other guys, and it's just like, dude, like
Those guys can't tie their sneakers, man. You know, it's to not have a PT standard in the security industry when you are paid handsomely to protect people and their assets, and you don't take yourself and your profession seriously. That's a problem. You know, and I see it a lot in law enforcement too. You know, there's no real standard, and that's why we have a lot of issues. However, there's not much room for error, because if we fuck this up, they pull the rug right from under us.
and then it's done. It's done. It's like there is no second chance here.
Exactly.
And you know, the protocols that you're putting in place. I mean, I'll tell everyone right now, it's not like if you can't beat them, join them. It's like you're going to have to join them. And
I get people call me all the time, or just run into me. They're like, "Hey, man, we love what you do. We want to come do it too." And we get into their history and, you know, their experience. And we have a lot of people that want to do it, but we don't have a lot of people that are capable of doing it. Everybody wants to do cool shit, but not everybody wants to put in the hard work to have the capabilities to do that. Do you want to go run 10 miles every morning with a weight vest? Do you want to go to the gym? Do you want to go train? Do you want to go hit the mat and run jujitsu for 3 hours a day,
Yeah.
5 days a week? Like, that's what this stuff takes, man. You can't just sit there and collect.
and you're not
collect.
30 years old anymore.
Right. So everything hurts a little bit.
Yeah,
more, you know?
exactly.
So
Well, I hope I can help you with that.
Yeah. IVs definitely help, you know. But yeah, man, it's a lot of people think that they want to do it, you know, and then there's other people that don't want anything to do with it, and they would rather just, you know, donate some money and, hey,
Which is awesome.
please handle this shit.
Which is great.
Yeah, like, we can't do it. We know we can't do it. However, we have the funding ability to ensure that you can do it.
So there are two different types of people that make this very effective. Actually, there's three. There's people that bring awareness, which is huge. Might not have cash to donate or things to donate, but they bring awareness to what's going on, which is fucking fantastic, right? You got a walking billboard. Then you have your donors, your quiet donors, and your aggressive donors, and then you have your operators, right? And you have the foundation. I was in flight school for 2 months, and after I went through my first successful landing, I bounced 15 feet off the fucking runway in a Cessna. The pilot looks over at me and goes, "Great job." And I'm like, you know what, dude? I'm going to work real hard to just fucking hire a pilot. and that's what I did. You know, I have a jet, and I don't even fucking go in the cockpit because I have no business being there. Right? I'm going to Mexico next week.
But having the ability, if that
know
motherfucker has a heart attack, then you can hop in there and bounce that bitch 15, but you're still going to pull
I
through.
can definitely land the plane. I can 100% do it. It's not going to be pretty.
Yeah.
Great example, man. And this is why, like, you got to meet Byron. You guys hit it off. He's just fucking cool as shit. And he's got the image of making EP look real sexy. But like at the same time, bro, the dude, just like you said, he's training fucking 5 hours a day, working his ass off. I'm flying in to Cancun on the 7th with 18 people. Mike Arrow's coming with me, my brother-in-law, John, my father-in-law, and the rest are all females, right? So we're flying in private for this wedding, and I didn't even bat an eyelash to spend $10,000 to get an escort from the jet to my hotel. Like, I didn't even think about it. Because number one, I can hold my own, but now I have to be, I don't have training to be responsible for all those people. And then you get into, and that's a bunch of adults and maybe a few kids, right? And then you get into like you entering a room with 5 to 10 kids and maybe 7 or 8 adults. How much more sticky is that?
And you're in a country that, do you have your equipment? Do you have your tools, your gear? You know,
Yeah.
Even if you have the capability to protect that many people, do you have the shit to do it?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not doing it with a spoon and a fork, It's like,
So
I'm not John Wick.
So before we close out right now, what can people do to help you?
Right now, man, it's funding. We've got a lot of really cool sponsors as far as training, ammo. We got a lot of really cool people with firearms, bags, stuff like that. We've, as far as kits and stuff, I think we're pretty good, man. But it comes down to labor. As my guys have to pay their bills, and the training that it takes. It all comes down to a financial.
So if someone wanted to sponsor an operation, this is a hard question for you. Let's just say there's a brothel in Lantana, right? There's a lot of brothels in Lantana, right? What would it take? And if I have someone out there right now that says, hey, I want to donate to cover an entire mission from start to finish, what does that look like? Thousands and thousands of dollars.
And
then you're still going to
everything's different, man. It really comes down, one, we can go do something smaller local for, 5-10 grand, or we can go do something that's massive undertaking that's 12 brothels in LA that is trafficking kids. That's going to take probably a couple weeks to do, and a lot of prep and a lot of aftercare. And on top of that, with these companies that are doing the aftercare and helping, and for us to have the ability to hand these victims off to such wonderful organizations, we like to offer them a little grant as well to help them take care of the people that we're rescuing. It doesn't stop
once you get the job starts once you recover.
Right.
That's where the work kicks in, and
one of the things we want to do is we want to create a Better Business Bureau accreditation for these organizations, right? Because how do we know that they're doing a good job?
Because you and I both know that you're passing these kids off sometimes. They're not you. There are organizations that are passing these kids off. And they're going right back into circulation.
100%.
And it comes down to this.
I want to know what a success rate is. What are we doing? How can we make it better? I'm not super involved in the aftercare process, but I would like to be. I would like to broaden my horizons and become a big part of that. My wife is huge. She's worked in mental health for the last 8 to 10 years. She's getting her doctorate in psych now, and she wants to give back. She wants to be a huge part, and she wants to make sure that they don't go back into this. Can you imagine?
No.
Can you imagine?
Not someone kicks in the door and you feel like, oh my God, thank God.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden a month later you're back in circulation, dude. And the other side of it too, guys, if you guys are out there and want to get involved, don't just think about the fact that, these guys are putting the time in. The reason why you can't see JJ's face is that, like, he's in a community right now where a lot of people probably would not like to see him around anymore, right? And his family's at risk and his friends are at risk. I wouldn't suggest fucking with them because it'd be a bad day, but at the same time, the sacrifice involved is intense because the ripple effect, when they took my child, they thought it was because I was a huge supporter to that organization. They thought it was a direct sting on me. We found out it wasn't. It was just God telling me, hey, stay on this. There's a huge sacrifice involved. And we're out there getting up in the morning, having a nice breakfast, kissing our kids goodbye, letting them go to school, going to work, enjoying our day. And, guys like you were preparing for like very bad situations. So we need to find some gratitude. And for guys like you, dude, I mean, I'm like super grateful to be in your life. And I can't wait to go on this journey.
We're fortunate to be in a profession where our hobby is our job. You know what I'm saying?
That's fucked up.
So it's
amazing.
If I wasn't at work, I'd be at the range, I'd be on the mat, I'd be at the gym. I'd be doing exactly the same things I'm doing to help prepare myself for these rescue missions. But it's not. We're not looking for empathy or sympathy. That we do, train 88 hours a week to prepare for this and then go conduct missions, man. Because we're built for that. It's what we love. Task and purpose is our thing. And we're lost and depressed without it. So. We love what we do. We want to continue doing it, and we need the help financially to continue to make the world a better place.
So, guys, after seeing this podcast, link below to their non-for-profit Click on that, take a peek at it. We'll be having a bunch of events coming up. If anyone wants to get involved, DM me directly. You know, there's a lot of things all the way down to just business organization. If there's someone that even wants to donate flyers or T-shirts or, you know, whatever it might be, you know, the more the merrier.
Anything and everything. And, you know, every event that we have, you know, has costs. It has, you know, anything from tablecloths to food to, you know, beverages, you know, all of that stuff costs money. Any donations are appreciated, any sponsorships, anything like that. You know, we're going to be running quarterly donation fundraising events, you know, mostly around South Florida, but I'm sure we'll expand out here in the very near future. But yeah, anybody even has any ideas how we can be better, how the foundation or the organizations can be better, run better, you know, we're a bunch of guys with guns, man.
Yeah.
You know, so you know, any
great.
We have another guy, Jared, man, that's reached out to us, that's helped us a lot, you know, with the financial capabilities and getting us to where we need to be. You know, you get a bunch of guys that have been kicking doors and doing CQB for the last 10, 15, 20 years, man. And we're not CPAs.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, exactly.
So really anything and everything helps.
So my last thing to the viewers out there, and this will go viral right now because I've been holding this one back. How fucking cool would it be if you got involved in this organization and then found out that, you know, something that you did saved a kid's life? Like something that you provided, whether it was $10 for a mission or, you know, 1,000 rounds of ammo for training or a plate carrier or whatever it might be. And that was the difference between saving a kid's life. Like how fulfilling is that? Like I didn't have to train 8 hours a day to go save a kid's life, which might only take you 10 minutes or it could take you 2 hours. The amount that leads up to that is what we really need to focus on. And if you want to be a part of something amazing, this is the organization to be a part of because it's stateside, right? I'm so sick of the bullshit that we're so concerned about what's going on outside of our fucking borders. And the reality of it is that we need to protect our own. And that's just the way I fucking feel, man. And it's sad and people probably aren't going to like it. But the reality of it is that I pay taxes here and I pay a lot of taxes. And the only reason why I have no problem paying them is because I think about my boys that are overseas fighting for the country. And I just imagine that money's going to make their life easier. So guys, make their life easier, get involved. JJ, love you, bro. Thank you for coming on. And we'll have many more here. So guys, Core Medical, Sid Gordon Podcast, peace out.